What would you say, if you could, to Mike Tyson today?
I would tell him that he's sick, that he hurt me really bad. I would tell him you need help.
Buckle up, because I'm about to take you inside a story wilder than any blockbuster you've ever seen.
Hey guys, come on, shut up.
Sorry, champ. It was Jerry.
This ain't no Hollywood script.
That ain't no fair trial.
This is the real deal. Mike Tyson, the Iron Mike behind bars, the story of how the baddest man on the planet navigated the chaos of prison life. Trust me, this ain't just about fights and flexing. It's about survival, betrayal, and finding a piece of yourself in the darkest of places.
I was just in my room, jumping step like this, just jumping up. And my cell, right, is a concrete floor, right? I indented it, my feet.
Oh, your feet, okay.
Yeah, and did the concrete floor.
Before the cell doors slammed shut, Mike Tyson was tying up loose ends. He knew the gavel was coming down hard. Convinced prison was inevitable, he made a decision that would haunt him. He reached out to the mother of a child he believed was his son, a boy he'd proudly showcased in magazines, a boy he'd poured love into. He sent her $100,000, promising monthly support while he was locked away. The money hit her account, and she didn't just take it. She lawyered up and slapped Mike with a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. It was a cold move. Years later, as the case dragged on, Mike's legal team pushed for a paternity test. The result was a gut punch harder than any he'd taken in the ring. The child wasn't his. Mike later reflected in his book, Raw and Unfiltered, that he deserved it. He called it the price of messing with snakes. The betrayal cut deep. He'd spent years with that boy, loved him like his own, only to learn it was all a lie. That woman didn't stop. She stalked him, harassed him, even after the truth surfaced. Karma, though, has a way of balancing the scales. Her life reportedly spiraled downward ever since. Welcome to the jungle. In 1992, Mike Tyson stepped into the Indiana Youth Center, a medium-security prison that sounded tame but was anything but. Built in the 1960s for wealthy, white, nonviolent youths, it had morphed into a crowded cage by the time Mike arrived. The facility housed over 1,500 inmates, mostly white, ranging from drug dealers and sex offenders to straight-up killers. It was a pressure cooker ready to explode. Mike was assigned to M Dorm, a newer unit with two-man cells. Each cell was a claustrophobic 8 by 9 foot concrete box. 2 bunks lined the left wall, a toilet and small cabinet sat on the right, and a desk was bolted to the floor. Reinforced doors and a tiny window replaced traditional bars. It was a tight space, built to contain. Mike later wrote that jail was a twisted kind of blessing. For the first time, he could breathe, be still. But he wasn't chasing enlightenment or inner peace. He was pissed. Those first weeks, Mike was a coiled spring, itching for someone to test him. He wanted to prove to the inmates, many of whom he saw as psychopaths, that he wasn't just a boxer, he was a predator. He moved with aggression, daring anyone to cross him, ready to defend his space and belongings with fury. One day, while strutting through the yard, an inmate's words stopped him cold. The term tree jumper was hurled his way. At first, Mike thought it was a nod to his athletic prowess, like he could leap over oaks. But the truth was uglier. A tree jumper was prison slang for a rapist, a creep who lurked behind trees to prey on kids. The accusation made Mike's stomach churn. He realized then that prison wasn't just a physical battlefield, it was a mental war, where words could cut as deep as shivs, chaos, and conundrums. Outside the prison walls, the world was buzzing with debate over Mike's conviction.
Angry words filled the night air, and tears filled the eyes of those who say Mike Tyson was convicted because he is black.
Public opinion was split. Many black folks believed the system had railroaded him, pointing to a trial they saw as unfair. Even a juror later admitted that black jurors in the pool avoided Mike's case, wary of the pressure. Mike's manager, Don King, kept in constant contact, promising to secure his release. But hope crashed just 6 days after Mike entered prison, when a judge denied his appeal bond.
It was a rare knockout punch from Mike Tyson. The jury deliberated 9.5 hours and found him guilty on all 3 counts of rape and 2 counts of sexual deviant assault.
The rejection broke something in Mike. He stopped eating solid food, surviving on liquids, his body wasting as his mind churned. he started racking up infractions, writing autographs for inmates, mouthing off to guards, threatening anyone who crossed his path. One incident saw him tangle with a young inmate named Reggie. What started as playful sparring turned serious. Mike's quick jab left Reggie with a knot on his forehead, the size of a golf ball. An older inmate, Slim, intervened, urging Mike to cool off. Slim pointed out that many inmates were lifers, with nothing to lose, while Mike had a shot at going home. Reggie, to his credit, didn't snitch, claiming he'd tripped. That lie saved Mike from extra months behind bars. Prison was a circus of horrors. Mike witnessed acts that scarred him, fights over a single cigarette ending in blood, inmates dousing cells with gasoline and flicking matches, guards getting jumped and sliced. One guard staggered out with half his face carved by a razor. The perpetrators didn't care. Already facing decades, they had no fear of added time. Mike grew paranoid, convinced someone, guard or inmate, would frame him, plant drugs in his cell, or bait him into a fight to extend his sentence. He began isolating, staying in his cell, avoiding the chaos. But trouble found him. A confrontation with a racist guard who tossed slurs like they were nothing escalated fast. Other inmates jumped in, and a group of Aryan Brotherhood members from another dorm rushed over, thinking their ally was involved. The yard exploded with yells and threats. Guards called in the riot squad, and the dorm went on lockdown. Mike was shipped to the hole.
I believe it was an inmate.
The hole was a beast of its own, a 6 by 9 foot cell with a mattress on the floor and a toilet. During the day, the mattress was yanked, leaving only cold concrete for rest. Lights blazed 24/7, and inmates were confined for 23 hours a day. Most would crumble, but Mike found a strange freedom in the isolation. He later wrote that the hole was his element, a place where no one controlled his every move. He could be alone with his thoughts, free in his own head. That first year, Mike was a tornado, disrupting, fighting, earning write-ups for everything from shoving inmates to defying guards. His behavior nearly landed him in P-Dorm, the unit for the worst of the worst. Those inmates were caged like animals, screaming through glass windows, spitting at passersby. One warned Mike to calm down, hinting at the misery of P-Dorm life. The warning hit home. Mike didn't want to end up like them. It took 13 months for Mike to find his footing. His cellmate, a lifer named Marcus, was a game changer. Marcus, serving 25 years for a drug charge, was calm and sharp, a prison philosopher. On their first night together, Mike clutched a sharpened pencil, ready to defend his belongings. Marcus, unfazed, offered guidance instead of conflict. Over weeks, he became Mike's mentor, teaching him the prison's unspoken rules. Marcus pointed out which inmates to avoid, which guards were corrupt, and stressed the importance of silence.
Hey, I don't do the other guy to fight. You know, I was just a simple guy. I wasn't no big shot in prison. I wasn't no gangster, tough guy. I was just...
Whatever Mike saw him, stabbings, deals, or worse, he needed to keep his mouth shut. Mike quickly learns that the outside world's rules don't apply here. Inside these concrete walls, violence isn't random, it's calculated. Loyalty isn't given, it's tested. And relationships, they're fragile alliances that can shatter without warning. Even the men who seem meek, harmless, or broken can be the deadliest ones in the room. One wrong look, one misunderstood word. That's all it takes to end up bleeding on the floor. Mike realizes, in prison, survival means trusting no one, but also knowing exactly who to trust when the moment comes. Days turn into weeks. Weeks blur into months. Mike starts to notice something he didn't expect. The racist who spits hate at breakfast might cry alone in his bunk at night. The gang leader who orders hits without blinking still holds on to old letters from a mother he'll never see again. Slowly, Mike begins to not just survive, but manipulate the game in ways no one sees coming. When Mike finally walks out of those prison gates, he isn't the same man who walked in. The world outside feels too fast. Freedom, something he once dreamed about every second behind bars, now feels overwhelming. The survival instincts he sharpened in prison don't just turn off, they haunt him. A slammed car door sounds like a warning shot. An argument in a cafe feels like the start of a riot. Mike wrestles with the realization that part of him never left the prison. It's stitched into his bones now. He's free, but not really.
And we say we have to adjust in order to survive, but in any kind of environment that you're in, even though if you're outside, anybody that actually obeys authority is not actually free.
Freedom, he learns, isn't just walking on the outside. It's healing what's broken on the inside. And that might be the toughest battle he's ever faced.